Okay, so we're back, you all.
We're back. We're back. We're back.
Sorry for the interruption. Technology, which is supposed to help us, but sometimes, it's not the best. But we're
Yeah.
gonna make it do what it do.
Mhm. Mhm. I'm telling you, AT&T. I just like was looking on Facebook while I was waiting on you to send me the link, and yeah, this is like nationwide, some type of issue going on right now.
Oh, with AT&T.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was trying to call you and it said something about I couldn't get a hold of you or something, like you have restriction. They said it's something about a restriction on your line.
It's so weird. Like, yeah, it's a nationwide issue right now that they're working on. I have a few friends right now that are struggling with it.
Okay. What?
Caden and you know what's so crazy about this? Like, as much as parents say, "Oh, we gave our kids phones so that we can stay in contact with them," like today, you're not in contact with your kid.
Yeah, that's kind of dangerous.
It is kind of dangerous, and but hopefully they'll fix it soon because you just want to be. And I had to think about it. I told my mom, I was like, "This is so crazy that we are, stressed out about these phones." When it was one time we didn't even have phones, we used to stop at pay phones and stuff.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just weird, like how now I was like driving down the road and I was like, oh my God, what if I get a flat tire? What if I get like all these things? What if I get an accident? Blah blah blah. And it's like, what would you have done before the cell phone?
I figured it out.
Yeah. Life though, that's what we're talking about even with the AI. Life has made
Oh yeah.
things so convenient for us.
Yep.
We don't know what it's like to, like you're saying, do things on your own, to put
Hmm.
in a little bit more work,
Right.
going to the payphone or writing your own book, like we're saying, and I think that that has made us a little bit lazy
Yeah.
in regards to doing more work.
Yeah.
So that might be why I struggle with like doing things long term because I'm used to instant gratification because that's what the world is set up to be nowadays.
Well, you answered your own. You came to your own epiphany. It's
Yeah.
true. It's not even. It's like air fryer and microwave type of thing. That's what we want. Like pop in, pop out, right? Oh, I don't have. Back in the day, it might have took an hour to cook a meal. Now you can cook meals instantly. But they got that one like microwave thing, and you just put the what is it on there, like the barcode, and it cooks it within like 7 minutes.
What? No, I haven't seen that. I
I
need to
seen it on
look at that.
TV.
Look at me.
Yeah, I seen it on TV. I haven't tried it, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's like everything has to be quick, 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 quick. And that's just where we are now.
And I think that that's the problem. But everything is not like that. There are some things that still take time. Like grandma's old cake in the oven, like it took time, but it was the best cake when it came out. Um, there are some things that are going to take time still.
So that may be part of it too. Your generation and underneath you, right? Y'all really were privy to some of the. I think when the microwave really was like popular.
I feel like we were the first generation,
Yeah,
my generation,
yeah,
of things starting to become instant,
yep.
because we were the first generation that got internet.
So there you go. That makes sense to me too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you grew up on.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
grew up on slow cooking. The slow cooker, right?
Oh,
Overnight. Oh, if you wait overnight, your milk. So that kind of makes sense to me that um it takes, my generation is used to a little more time in doing things. And so, yeah, I just feel that that pet plays a big part in it.
you know what's funny to me though?
Boy,
Although your generation and older was used to time, they were way less patient with kids. Where we're not used to time, but we're learning to gentle parent and be more patient with our kids. It's crazy.
well, yeah, see that gentle parenting is a whole nother thing. But um and I won't say your generation on a whole
No,
is,
oh, no, 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 no,
is
no,
patient. I
no,
won't say that at
no,
all because a
no,
lot
no, no.
are absent. Yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we were definitely, our patience was short. Yeah, in our generation, I would say that. Yeah.
I would say overall, if I had, especially like if you have a household where there's a mother and a father who are committed to parenting now versus back then, it was a lot more whoopings and beatings and things back then than there are now.
And that's
You,
fact.
it's so crazy to me though, because y'all knew patience, y'all were used to it, but somehow it didn't transfer into parenthood. It's
You
like, no, I want this kid to do this right now. You better do it right now, or I'm gonna beat you.
yeah, yep. You're right
Yeah.
about that. There was no patience in parenting.
But let me tell you, you make sacrifices though, because us now we have no patience in the kitchen because we got all this patience that we got to get to these kids. Like like so. I don't want to be in the kitchen because my child is like, mom, 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 mom. Like so I'm like, okay, babe, what? So I'm trying to make sure that I have enough time to be there for her. So it's frustrating that I have to cook and that I have to clean and I have to do all these things because my energy is devoted to so many other things. I just want to be able to go in the kitchen and just say bam and it's done. you know
Well, that's why I'm going back to um, thinking about, like, if you have enough income, then some of those things you can spend that time with Kaden, right? And you don't
mm-hmm.
worry about the cooking piece. You could hire a chef or something to do.
Girl,
I'm just saying that
no, I'm saying that's a dream.
that
Yes, oh yes.
that is gold. If I could take cooking off, cooking, washing clothes,
Oh,
vacuuming, cleaning the back, just cleaning, like
just
clean.
cleaning in general and cooking. If
Yeah,
I could take them two, and laundry. So cooking, cleaning, and laundry. If I could take that off of my list of things to do
right.
outside of playing Candy Crush, I think that my life would be a lot better.
Hey, yeah.
I
So
do, but I play Candy Crush as a stress reliever. Like
okay, gotcha.
that's and read. I play Candy Crush and I read. Oh, and recently, let's go ahead and just talk about it. Did I marry? Let's just go ahead and talk about it. Have you not watched it?
Huh?
Who the F did I marry? You haven't watched that with Tessa Ressa or Ressa Tessa? What's her name on TikTok? Tony. None
Oh,
of your
that
life.
no, no, no. Somebody sent that to me, right? And I don't know. I watched the first part of it, and that whole thing, she didn't get to it. Like, that first one didn't lead me to the next one. But I've seen everybody is talking about it, but it didn't draw me in.
You you being a therapist, you got to go into therapist mode to watch it.
No, I don't want to, because I got enough of that on my own, right? Like, I don't want to add something. I already could tell, like, the way she was talking when she first met him, and they were on their way to Cheesecake Factory, and she had a blowout or whatever, and some of the stuff that was happening, she talking about red flags. No, them was stop signs, boo. Them wasn't no red flags. So I just couldn't go on. I mean, is this supposed to be a real story that happened, or
It's her real life.
oh, because
Yeah.
some people be on there making up stuff to get paid.
Oh no, 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 no. Not her. This is like her real life. This really happened to her.
Oh,
Um and so she's talking about it because her goal was basically to help somebody who may be going down that path before they get as far into it as she did. So some takeaways for me was compulsive liar versus pathological liar. I didn't know that there was a difference, but there is.
okay,
How she described it. I really learned a lot from it.
okay,
I've watched it over the past, I think, 2 days. And I was like you in the beginning. That's what I told me. I actually talked to my therapist about it yesterday. I was like you in the beginning because originally it got sent to me on Sunday. And I listened to the introduction and I was like, 52 parts. Wait a minute. I'm not reading. I'm not sitting here all this time. But I'm telling you, it's a part in there where it's like, first of all, I don't think that if you've been in any bad relationship at all at any point of your life, it's a piece of you in what she's saying.
Oh, I thought you were saying a lot of her is was
No, like it's a piece of us, like what you have gone through.
oh,
It's a like how she's describing it. It's a piece of everybody that has been through a bad relationship, experienced some type of trauma like that. It is a piece of you in some part of her story.
um, yeah.
How I explained it to James was, it's unfortunate that we may have dealt with one piece where she had a whole doggone pizza
No, I
and
think
one person.
in one person.
I I was just blown away. Like I've dealt with some lying, but that was a whole nother level for me. And I was like, man, I wanted you to watch it because I wanted us to talk about it from a therapist slash counselor perspective, because that's really how I listened to her. I mean, I understand why you did it, but I listened to her from that perspective because it was so many, like you said, stop signs in there. But I also wanted to try to, I got what she was saying, like how and my counselor brought this out to me about how easy it was to fall for stuff like that when you were vulnerable during COVID.
Oh, this when this happened.
During COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he? I mean, did she diagnose? I mean, she's not a therapist, so did she like say she just talked about the different issues that he came with?
She talked about, his lying, like, oh, it was the lying was over the top. And that was the main thing, his
Mm-hmm.
lying.
Mm-hmm.
But even down to, it was a part where, he did check himself into a mental institution, but that was to get like a bed, like he was homeless at a point. And she talks about how, you know, he got arrested at some point, and even the police officer was like, he's having a manic episode right now. So I don't really know what he ended up being diagnosed with.
Okay.
Um, but it was definitely some mental health issues there.
Mm-hmm.
That were, and I guess I've asked this question before. I don't think I've asked you though. For me, I've always wanted to know the difference between someone who is born with some mental challenges
Mm-hmm.
versus people who go through some type of trauma and then develop mental challenges as a result of that. Like, how do you even know the difference between those two people?
Well, you may not. I mean, born means that it was like generational, right?
Yeah.
Came
Uh-huh.
so
Like bipolar or
right.
schizophrenia.
So what happens is the trauma just escalates it,
So you
right?
that everybody, if you have some type of mental health challenge, it started from birth.
Ask that question again.
Okay, so I'm saying, do you think that people that have mental health challenges, do you think that it originates in birth and then it's antagonized, I guess that's the word to use, or instigated, stirred up, agitated by trauma, and it's all kind of like under the same umbrella? Or do you think that there are some people who are born without mental challenges and then they literally have some type of trauma that happens to them, and then as a result of that they are somebody different?
That's a good question.
Yeah, yeah, I struggle with that.
Um, so, although every body, okay, trauma is experienced different by everyone, right? And so,
Hmm.
what may antagonize me or cause me to be traumatized, and if I was born with, let's say, bipolar, for example, then the trauma can, is it aspirate?
Agitate, I guess we can say.
Right. So it can agitate,
Exasperate. That's what yeah.
exasperate, right?
Uh-huh.
Exasperate it, right? Um, so your question is, if you're born, are you born with
A
the
mental health challenge, or is it, and then things like trauma exasperated,
um
or
I
or
think
and,
I
yeah.
think it's a both and. I
I
think
was
it's a
like,
both.
yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I mean, it just that's a depending question, you know. Yeah, because some people are just born. It just is something that they're born with, and they, you know, can't do anything about it necessarily. But it if you add trauma into it, then it grows to something else different.
And do you treat those people differently? Like someone that's born with it versus someone who has just like some type of traumatic experience. Like, okay, what I'm trying to say is, like, say somebody's raped. Before that, they were fine. They're raped. And then after that, they really struggle mentally with trusting, very paranoid, may exhibit kind of bipolar behaviors because of it, hot, cold, or depression, these kind of things, versus somebody that's born with chronic depression.
Do you treat it differently? Well,
Yeah.
those two would be treated differently, right? Because hers is more from the trauma perspective, and the other person's is they were born with depression, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not the degree, but it's what they're being treated for, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
you can have depression as a result of the trauma versus
Right.
person was born with depression for whatever reason, right? It could have been.
Yeah, and that's what I've always wondered because we always run across something in life. Nobody has escaped pain and trauma to some degree. But if you experience that trauma very young, you may not know if you were born that way or if this traumatic event has caused you to be that way. Because okay, for instance, me, I learned that I suffer from depression very young.
How did you know?
Because after I started going to counseling, I went back in my life and I saw, okay, yeah, this is depression. I've been depressed. I was depressed ever since I can remember. Like, it wasn't in that moment, like when I was 8, like, oh my God, I'm depressed. No, it was when I actually went to counseling and I went back to my 8-year-old self and was like, oh, this isn't normal for an
Right.
8-year old to be like this. But my dad also left when I was 3.
Mhm.
So did that trigger my depression or was I born with depression? I think about that.
Yeah, that's a so also what was your mom experiencing when she was pregnant with you, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
plays a role into if you were born with something,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
did and chances are just thinking about it, your mom was experiencing. If your dad left when you were 3, your mom was experiencing something when she was pregnant with you.
Uh-huh.
And so then that becomes, you know, you feel what your mom felt in utero.
Yeah.
And so you probably were, I would say, predisposed to depression. I won't say
Mm-hmm.
depressed in womb, right? But
Yeah.
predisposed to it. And so even from birth to when dad left, I'm sure it was some trauma that was going on with mom and him. And you
Yeah.
experienced it, you just were young, you were a baby. So it's hard
Mm-hmm.
to process what you saw, even,
Mm-hmm.
even as a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how do you even know life is just beginning for you at 1, 2, 3 years old? You don't know how to process something that big at that age.
Or that may be normal to you because that's all you knew,
That's all I knew.
right? So, you know, it's an interesting topic because um you don't hear it talked about a lot, you know,
No.
about like trauma and not just trauma, but like even different mental health disorders really can be, I think they can be developed in the womb.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, because even if you look up, because when I learned about like depression, because by the time I was 30, I was chronically depressed at that point. Just like complete, it was just at its tip then. And when I went to go do, because nobody had ever used, of course you hear depression, but I was never allowed to say like depression. You know what I'm saying? And so when it finally came out, like it's okay for you to use this word depression. It's all right. You know, I looked it up, and one of the things is it can be from family. It can, you know, it could pass down.
Mhm.
And so I do think that just like you have chromosomes that, you know, get mixed up and all those kind of things, and the child is born with some type of defect as a result of that.
Mhm.
I do believe that even when it comes to mental health, like you said, your environment, what your parents were, your around, the environment they were in, you know, what kind of stress load were they under, all of that kind of stuff plays into your mental health.
Yep. And how you begin processing, right? So, how do you see your parents process their stuff or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you learn a lot of it's like learned behavior, some of it, right? Like
Yep.
if I saw my parents drink, then or drug or whatever, right? Then that's going to be what a lot of times your go to. But children emulate what you do. You can tell them, don't do this, right? This is wrong. But if they see that's the way you're doing it, that's more than likely what they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. And so that for me is more coping, the coping strategies to even deal with the depression, the anxiety, the block, you know, whatever it may be, the trauma, all of that. You may now go to alcohol, drugs, sex, all these things. And if you're taught, you know, indirectly, not directly, because kids usually aren't taught directly to do wrong,
Right.
you know, like is, but they see stuff.
Yeah.
They learn, you know, from seeing visual. And so you may never tell your child, uh, after a long day of work, I'll be so stressed out, like I'm just gonna go get a drink or I'm about to go downstairs and get high. But if they see it and they smell it and they relate that to it, it's a trigger for them as they get older. Oh, after work one day, I can't wait to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I guess because you can't avoid getting stressed out.
Right.
You can eliminate some stressful environments,
Hmm.
but you will not avoid getting stressed like that. So at some point you're going to experience stress,
Right.
and you have to, even if you say with your mouth, like with me, Kaden, if you get stressed, go listen to some music. If you get stressed, you know, read. If she doesn't see me doing that, chances are she's not going to do it.
Thus, one of the big issues in the Black household, like a lot don't read, a lot don't do healthy coping mechanisms, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we pass down to our children when we don't do that. And a lot of times it's those we think we're hiding things from them. And as you said, like if they smell it in the air, come on, they're not stupid.
Mm-mm.
They know what it is. They know something is going on. What is that smell? Oh, I know that smell. I remember that smell, right? And the enemy is so slick and cunning, as we talked about, I think last week, that he'll put them in environments where what is that smell around somebody, right? Oh, that's what my parents were doing, right? So that indirect has such a big impact, right? So that's why we have to pray for the things unseen. A lot of times we pray for things we see, right? Oh, I can see this or I can see that. But it's the stuff we don't see in the spirit realm that we really need to be praying for.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Especially like when you're raising kids and you're making a conscious effort and a conscious decision to raise your child, there are certain things that you have to just pretty. I think I was talking to my mom about this too, about dying to the flesh. Nothing makes you die to the flesh more than being a parent, especially when you make the conscious decision to become a parent. Like, I'm going to be a parent. I'm going to be the best parent I can be. I'm committing to being a parent. That is so much of a sacrifice when you say that, because it's so many things that you may want to do that you have to just choose not to do because they are watching you.
But that's the key though. What I think is happening now is unconscious parenting, right? Like the stuff we see going on in this world is unconscious parenting. And then parents coddling behaviors that they shouldn't, except
Mm-hmm.
that good and well your child got a gun. He bring it in your house. He's selling drugs and you're not saying anything. You're allowing him. Oh, that's my baby. My baby wouldn't do nothing like that. But you could go in there and see it and don't see it.
See it and don't see it. And why is that? I wonder why can't we? Because I think before, when I was kind of numb to life, um it would Katie would just do things and it just like whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I'm very much present now, so it's like I'm so present that things just bother. If I don't say nothing, it bothers me until I say something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like homegirl, and she might not even be thinking about it. We had to deal with that last night because she's in middle school now, and so bullying is like huge in middle school, and cyberbullying is even bigger in
That's
middle
what I
school.
hear. But how? Well, yeah, okay. Okay. Go.
Well, first of all, a comment was made on Facebook, and I totally agree with it. The comment was made. First of all, you shouldn't even have social media at that age anyway. That's just me. That's my personal opinion. Kana does not have any social medias. And if she does have it, we don't know about it. She does have a Twitter page through James to post out, but she has no connection to it at all. James handles her Twitter page for her sports clips only. But
Oh,
her having social media on her own phone that she has access to, that's a no-go in the Bailey household.
yeah.
No, because not only does that give her access to do things that we may not be able to see, especially on websites like Snapchat, but it also gives her access to see how people are talking about her.
Yeah. That's right.
And I don't think at this age they can mentally process that in the way that they need to.
No, hell, a lot of
Grown people can't do that.
right. Yep. Look how grown people take Facebook as they take it like it's just their life. So I think you're absolutely right. So it's the monitoring, but you said something key. You consciously parent. And so you asked, like, how could a parent, what did you say? Something about not see? Because I said they can see it, but not see it,
They
right?
can see it but not see it, and it's like at this phase of my life I used to be do that, but it's like I can't. It's almost like I can't even sleep good at night because I just feel like I need to always be up, like stay woke in this age, because I'm telling you things change like this.
Well, how did you,
They got those phones.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
How did you see it but not see it? What was your method of thinking when you would see something but didn't see it?
You talking about when I before I became
When,
a conscious
before
parent?
you, right.
um I think for me it was because I grew up in a very strict household. And so for me, the only thing I knew was to like whoop her if she did something wrong. And that got very old very quick because she still did what she wanted to do. Kaden is very strong willed. And so when I realized that me whooping her or like yelling at her and all the stuff that I learned how to do as a parent from my parent, it wasn't working with Kaden. So then I just got defeated and I was like, well, whatever, just do whatever you want to do. I can't, I mean, you're not changing.
Mm,
Like, so it was for a while there that I honestly can say I was just defeated. I didn't have any, she wasn't listening. Nothing we said mattered. We could threaten her. We could tell her we was going to beat her. We could tell her we was going to take herself away. She didn't care.
okay. Mm,
And so because it was like, okay, well, just whoop me because after the whooping, I'm just going to go back and do whatever I want to do kind of thing.
yeah.
And so in that phase of my life, and then James grew up not getting whooped at all. So we had came from two very different backgrounds, which when we became parents, it was very difficult because I'm like, you need to whoop her, you need to whoop her, you need to whoop her. And James is like, no, but also if I don't whoop her, I don't know what another option is because nobody did anything for me. I raised myself pretty much.
Right.
So we had to literally come to the table and decide what kind of parenting strategy we were going to use on Kaden. And then we had to stand firm and be united on that. So now Kaden knows, like, I'm not, listen, we do a lot of talking to Kaden. which she hates. But it just works for us. Like it's what works in our household. We've seen the most results when we actually sit down with her and we have a conversation with her and we explain our expectations to her and we let her know. Now you know. So I'm not warning you because now you know. So if I catch you doing this and not listening to me, go ahead and hand me your phone. And don't ask me when you're gonna get it back. Go ahead and give me that remote. And don't ask me when you're getting it back. Go ahead and hand me those controller sticks. And don't ask me when you're getting it back. You're going to get it back when I feel like you're responsible enough to handle listening to me on top of the privilege of having your phone.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we're going to get this listening part right.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of rewards in our house. Like this morning, I told her, I said, hey, you can go to Starbucks, but you're not going to Starbucks if I have to come over here and tell you to get out of this bed one more time. She was up.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm just very much woke to how I need to parent her, how I need to address her, how I need to deal with her.
That internet is acting funny.
It's better though than it was when we were on the other.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that, but I had to really, that was another thing that I had to go to therapy about because I was so um broken in that area of parenting. Like she doesn't listen to me, she doesn't respect me, so why should I even say anything to her at all? So it
Mm-hmm.
went through a point to where I wasn't really even talking to her. I had truly distanced myself away from her, which the sad part about that is when you make those decisions to do that because you're defeated, you're also withdrawing love from them.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. A whole lot.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't. So if you're unconscious parenting, then you can't say, oh well, I'm just not paying attention, but then think that you love them too.
Ooh, he just got into a client I had yesterday. But anyway,
You
yeah,
know.
absolutely. So this is such a big topic, and it's something that's not covered either. Like even in therapy, a lot of people don't talk about this. This is not a it's not a topic that you hear a lot about, right? And when you were talking, what came up for me is it's really looking at the parents' upbringing. That's going to be
Mhm.
part of it, right? So you say y'all were raised differently. So you got to know that what is it, that you came and experienced, because a lot of times you're going to parent like you were parented. And
Mhm. Mhm.
else different, right? So the parents need to sit down and see, okay, this is what I experienced, this is what I experienced, and let's see what's healthy, because a lot of times our upbringings weren't healthy. We weren't
No.
in a healthy way, right? So because I
Mm.
think that with my children and their dad, like, to be honest, I think, oh, now that I think about it, my son was raised a lot like my ex-husband was. Very free-willed, kind of had free reign to do what they wanted to do.
Mhm.
My daughter she was raised different than both of us were. And that's because, uh-oh.
I hear you. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I kind of cuffed her because, we were going through a divorce and then she was my responsibility.
Mhm.
So, yeah, looking at that, I think like how both of you were parented to make sure, like if that was unhealthy, then y'all really got to discuss that. How are we, and if you single, right? You really got to look at that, because there's a whole lot of stuff that a single person is going to do a lot of times, which they're going to try to overcompensate. Um, the other parent is not here. I got to be both parents. So that really is a hard struggle.
Yeah, and I think that for me, if I could dwell in that space, if I could find like a vehicle and a audience for that, I would do all my teachings around that.
Mm-hmm.
because I want to get with people who are planning to get pregnant or who are pregnant. And I want to talk to them about the importance of developing a disciplinary plan for your child, for
Mm-hmm.
your children, because the sooner you can do that, the better it is. And I almost feel like you need to go on a healing journey yourself, whether
Oh,
you
sure.
decide to parent as a single parent or together. Like, you all, I have to speak from where I am. Like, I wish that James and I would have done a healing journey and just our parenting paths. Like, really like wrote out some things that we dealt with, what we went through, what we're going to decide to keep, what we're going to decide to throw away before Katie was even. You got 9 months. You could do a whole 9 month seminar, class, whatever structure. You don't even have to take that long, 3 months, whatever. But I do believe that it's very important that people understand that parenting starts in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have it doesn't start like, oh my God, this child is 3 or 5 and they're acting up and I don't know. It doesn't start. If you start then, that's fine. But you are more likely, I feel like, to be like me and feel like you're defeated because you didn't even think about the fact that, oh, parenting is something that I really, really have to like be intentional about.
Yeah. I think in our culture, the black culture, I don't think it would go over very well. Like I'm hearing
Mhm.
parenting coach. And that's from the time when you get pregnant, and that can go through life because there's so many
Mhm.
of the coaching. You don't have to stay in a program the whole time frame
Mhm.
what they're right. But a parent coach, I think for somebody who has through and who has healed and who can provide that um system, you
Yeah,
know, yeah,
the
it, it
structure.
it'd be
Mhm.
personal, right? Though it'll be structured or it'll be custom to you, right? But
Mhm.
also space.
Mhm.
I think that it would be something awesome for our culture, but I just don't think that it would be something they would embrace.
Well, you said it. You said, this is something that people don't talk about. Well, first of all, people never want their parenting challenged or questioned. And then if they do have issues there, it's like marriage. You're so embarrassed about having issues that you don't want to talk about it. So then you just walk around and deal with whatever you have going on as if it's going to like magically disappear. And then you end up bringing up these kids who are like bullies or, like just not ready for society. Basically, they're just not really ready, whether it be mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Like, I want to cover all those things because I'm telling you, I was talking to James today and I was like, man, think about where we would be right now if we knew about the 10-10-10-70 rule when we were like Hayden's age.
Yeah, yeah,
And you start practicing it then. Like I already told Kaden, when you turn 13, we're gonna start dealing with money.
mm-hmm.
Like, you have your accounts, we have them set up, you have investments, we have that set up, but you're gonna start seeing it. We're gonna
Yeah.
get you a login.
He's
We're
gonna
gonna,
start doing it.
yeah, you're gonna start doing it.
Yep,
It's gonna be time. The teenage, when you get that teen after your name, after your number, it's gonna be time then for us to start teaching you some real fundamentals about money because I want you to be set, not just now, but this is legacy building here.
that's it. That's the whole thing, right? That's a part of legacy, as you're saying, and that's a big piece of what our culture doesn't have. We don't have the reason we don't have legacy. I can't say the reason. I can say one of the things that I've noticed is because we don't know how to do it, right? And when
Mm-hmm.
we don't pass it on. So if I learn it and don't pass it on, then what good is it? Right? Because I'm not then passing on a legacy. I just learned how to do it. So I'm just one of those teaching myself. Maybe I have had to learn by myself. But how is that benefiting anybody underneath me?
Nobody. It's not been, especially like you said, what did you call it? Gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Like, you get this information and you just hold it to yourself. And I'm like you're saying, who does that benefit? You get this information and you just say, "Oh, I ain't sharing." Why are you? Why? What is the, what's the purpose of that? Or you're charging like $1 million for people to have access to it. Come on. If somebody is trying to get out of a situation that they're in and they're serious about it, they wouldn't be coming to you if they had millions of dollars to get out of it. More
Mm-hmm.
than likely, I'm not saying that you give it to them for free, but it definitely has to be somewhere, because if you charging all this money and they already feel defeated, and then you offering a way out, but you charging all this money to get out, then they're gonna feel even more defeated. Like, I feel like your book, and I haven't talked to you about it yet. It's perfect. I had to actually pause on the question that you asked in there, because I was like, huh, I don't think I talked to myself very nicely. Like, I had to really think about that,
Mm-hmm.
but but your book is only $40, Tony.
Yeah, I know.
It's literally only
It's not even
$40.
$40. It
No, I'm
it's
saying that
for
inflate. Yeah,
ship.
yeah,
It
yeah.
it includes the shipping and the processing fee from the service thing. So it's like it's that's not a lot to change your life, right? To get you to another perspective of purpose.
But you got people out here that instead of paying that money for the book, they go in and buy $100 shoes,
Mhm.
$300 purses,
Go eat and
drink. They'll spend it quick. Like, yeah, bring it down to there. Nowadays, you'll spend $20 at Starbucks quick. Add another 20 to that, and you got a book that's gonna change your life forever. So I mean, and it's all these things like my devotion. You're doing all these things to cover up the outside, but
yeah,
your heart is broken.
yeah. And I'm so focused on black people. I guess that's because where I come from, that that's why I go so hard in what I do. Although I feel the audience is not where it should be, I'm dedicated to it. So this is what I'm going to do for life, right? Especially in mental health. Because if we can get our mental health together,
We're on another
everything
level.
else fall in line. We can get if you can get this together, guess what? Your spiritual will fall in line, your
Oh,
financial, your sexual, every aspect will fall in line because your mind will be together. It will be right, you know?
yeah. And I don't think people really. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to my counselor about this as well, and I was talking to her from the perspective of, when somebody like needs to be resuscitated, right? They're dead. It's flatline, and that's dead. But then there's another phase when they are brought back to where they're just kind of like sitting there. you know
Hmm.
to me, that's surviving. They are surviving. That's my definition of surviving. But when they get out of the bed and they start pursuing their interests, and they're like, I'm got a second chance and I'm going to do the best I can with it, and they're doing all this stuff that they never did before, and you see them, that is thriving. There
Yeah.
are so many people, especially in our
I,
black race, that are just surviving. They
mhm,
are just surviving. And because they're not dead, they're like, oh man, like this is great.
mhm,
Like, I will lay on this bed all day because I'm alive.
mhm,
And some of them get so comfortable. Oh, I got people bringing me food. I got people doing, I'm good here.
mhm.
Because on the other side of surviving is thriving, where you actually you benefit from the work that you put in.
Yeah. And here's one of the things I see in therapy. Because for some reason I see people around my children's ages, right? My daughter is 25, my son is 32. Now, he'll be 32. He'll be 32. And they're doing really well financially. But they don't understand that that don't mean you thriving.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to talk to my counselor about. I was telling her, I was like, I feel like I'm in a place right now to where I'm surviving, and I was honest with her about that. And I said, but I want to thrive. And I said, what I've realized is, like you're saying, one component of life doesn't put you on the thriving level. Like,
Exactly.
it doesn't. Like, for me, it was spirituality. Oh, you give your girl a book of any book in the Bible, and I'm gonna find a way to slice and dice it. That's just me. I'm really good with the Bible. I love the Bible. It's
Mm,
like I tell people all the time, it's my favorite book. But just because I'm so learned in the Bible, that doesn't mean that I'm thriving.
right.
You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and I was telling her, I was like, Pat, I said spirituality is a landmark on the road of life to get you to that other side. It is not the thing. It is probably the most important thing
Mm-hmm.
because it challenges you emotionally and mentally and all these things, but it's not the only thing. And I think I grew up thinking, as long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else.
Yeah, that's
No,
talk.
you need a financial advisor. You need a therapist. You need a trainer. You need a chef, whatever, to help you thrive.
Right.
You need all of that. For me, I personally want to get to the point to where I have a trainer, a physical trainer. I have Cheryl here at least 2 times out of the month. I have the chef. I have all these components because in my mind, that is when I'll be thriving. On top of pouring out, I have to pour all that into
Come
me
on.
so that I can begin to pour out what else I have. I can't, I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends right now. I'm
Hmm.
trying to pour out, but I'm trying to be over here doing all this other stuff at the same time.
But that's the thing, right? And that's, I always mention his name, Myron Golden, what he was talking about the other day, right? He said that he, in one of his coaching courses, he charges $40,000, right? So he said that means in that aspect I'm worth $40,000 an hour. He said if I went out there and cut my grass, it's going to take me an hour. I just burned $40,000 when I could have paid the person. He said he pays his person $100 and they come 4 times a month. He said, does that make sense? Right. So the goal is to be able to conserve your energy, right? Because I'm worth way more than what I would pay you to cut my grass or do my nails or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like getting to that space where you can make enough to where you free yourself up and you're not burning the candle at both ends, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes. And
But
that's
that's
what,
the
yeah.
process, right? It's the process of getting to that space.
And
Then you
how?
thrive. Yeah.
How? How do you get there? Because I was, James and I laid out some pretty big numbers this morning about what we want to make monthly to even be able to live the way we want to live.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that the go because he's always like, well, I feel like we just need to downgrade some stuff if you want to live like. And I'm like, no. To
Mhm.
me, I don't want to give anything up to get what I
Mhm.
want. To me, that's still not thriving.
Mhm.
You know, I want to be able to live the life that I want to live. And I told him, I said, if that was the only option, then okay.
Mhm.
But it's not. Work is also an option.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you may have to grind a little bit harder and you may have to, you know, do a little bit more. But I think that for me, because what I'm realizing is James and I care too much. We just care too much.
I see that from the outside.
We just care too much.
Mhm.
And we care too much about people that don't care about us.
Mhm. And if y'all
So,
invested that caring into y'all selves and y'all what y'all got going on, guess what? That's where it is. That's where thrival mode is, right? That same energy that you care and are pouring into other people, pouring it into y'all.
because survival mode is like not giving a F about anybody. To me, you're very selfish. Thriving is saying, I care about me
That
enough to invest in me.
yep,
You know what I'm saying? And then whatever comes out of me because I've decided to invest in me, that's good for you. But what I'm going to stop doing is investing every piece of me inside of you and not having anything left for me. And then you walk away from it without even saying thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Or when I decide to make a decision, I've been here for you for everything. And I've been, but one minute I decide to make a decision that's not in your favor. And now you ignore my text messages.
Mhm.
Now you're not answering my phone calls when I call you.
Mhm.
Like I'm done investing in people that way.
Mhm. Yeah.
What you gonna do is give me these coins,
Okay.
and then when I make a decision, I'm not gonna care about how you respond or not because it's not. I got my money.
Yeah. And people call me mean because I really clearly have that boundary, right? Like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that because you'll take, 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 and then I end up empty. And I had to learn that. Like people don't, they just want what they want. And so I set my boundary and I don't give a damn. You
No.
Not in the sense of, because I feel like this. You got your money that you choose to spend elsewhere, right?
Ha!
And you would even spend it with somebody else before you would me,
How
because
about
you
this?
have more than you.
You will spend it on a total stranger
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly.
before you even look my way. So why am I taking my time with you
Yeah.
in that way? I'm just gonna stop doing that. James and I, that's one thing that we consciously made the decision to do. Like, look, moving forward, we have got to find a way to care, but to not give up. Like, just don't. You got to get to a point to where you care, but you care enough about yourself.
Yeah.
Self-care is so important.
Yeah.
When you begin to, and I'm not talking about going to get your nails done or your hair done. That's awesome.
Right.
But I think that that's also something that people fail to talk about. We can talk about self-care from the perspective of, oh, I got my nails done, I got my lashes, but you still
Ah,
broke it, boo.
right. It's the internal part to me.
Internal. What is that?
Okay.
Is somebody watching?
No, that's the iPhone. Sometimes I did like this, and I think it made a.
That was cool.
It was that was so
It was like, yes, queen,
right.
say that.
Yeah, but that's everybody talks about, and when people think about self care, oh, I went and got a pedicure. No, no.
That's
What
no.
did you do internally for you?
Oh, I was just okay. So I told you I'm having this conversation and I'm having these realizations with my therapist. Shouts out to Janae Combs if you're in the Georgia area.
Woohoo,
Um, yes. And I was telling her, I said, look, I said, where I'm struggling right now is that, like I said, the surviving thing. I said, and what I realized is in order to come on the other side of that, I've got to decide that I want to do some soul work.
yeah.
It's deep. The deepest piece of you, I said, is calling me. My soul is calling me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you do soul work, that is probably the most difficult work you will do
Mm-hmm.
because it challenges you mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. It hits every area.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
People got to learn how to do soul work.
Yeah, that's one reason why I listen to Myron Golden, because I do soul work with him every time. Sometimes I'd be mind blown. I'd be like, I don't even know what he's talking about, but I try and stay focused and I try to listen because he's at such a higher level that one day I'm going to get there. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just by listening, but implementing, because that's another thing. A lot of times we listen but don't implement what the person is saying. And until I can really fully understand, there's some things I can't implement, but what I can, I do.
You have to. That there's no there's no I used to be in Latin and the saying, I can't even remember it in Latin, but the saying was nothing without work. Like you don't get anywhere in life without working. And it's just how you choose to work. And
Mhm.
I'm telling you, I'm like, James, like, man, we've been doing this. And look at the results it's yielding us. Like we working. Oh, we working.
Mhm.
But it's the way we choosing to work that
I-
has to change.
And I'm gonna send you his message from yesterday, Myron Golden, because that's what he talked about. He said, like, somebody who makes $25,000 a year, if they worked 40 years, would be considered a millionaire, although they would have nothing to show for it because they had to spend their money right on bills and this and that. He said, but then you take somebody who makes $1 million in a year, they're 40 times that person who did it in 40 years, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even have to, people think that you are one, if I made $1 million in that year, I have to work harder. No. He said, it's the way that you go about doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
times I learned about myself is I'm trying to do everything myself. And we got to learn how to, like we were talking about, some of this stuff has to be hireable, right? Some of this stuff so that You have the time to be able to then pour into you. Then I look and I'm like, okay, that takes coinage. So where I'm gonna get the coinage from first to be able to hire this person. But then I think about walking by faith, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Believe that that's what is going to free me up in order for me to be able to maybe go to some conferences or take in more knowledge by reading. Then, if I'm paying out, I think that I will pour more into myself because I know I just spent $200 on that person doing this. I need to invest in myself in that time that I paid for.
And it's so crazy you would say that's another thing my mom and I hit on. Like having this mindset of, oh, I can do it all. And then somebody comes to you and they'll say, hey, what can I help you with? Oh, girl, it's fine. I got it. Or, like I have a friend. I'm getting treatment next week. And when I have my treatment, I really am down. Like I push myself more than I probably should just because I'm used to doing that. But if I could probably have it my way when I have my treatment, I would probably sleep all day and do nothing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I get very high doses of Benadryl, and then the medicine itself is also draining.
Then the
Um,
girl makes you sleepy, right?
oh, and I get IV
Oh,
straight through my port, 50 milligrams, I think. Yeah, straight. Yeah, so I'm white.
yeah.
Um, And my mom usually on days, if I ask her to, my mom, if I say, Mom, I'm having treatment today and today, she will say, okay, what do you need me to do? Oh, I'm good. My mom would say, do you want me to cook for you? No, I'm fine. I got it. You want me to come over there and wash your clothes or whatever? Nope, I got it. I'm fine. And then I just had a friend that, and it hit my spirit so hard, Tony, because she was like, hey, because she's been trying to like hang out and stuff. And
Okay.
we both been busy. So she asked me if I had any time this week. And I was like, no. I said, but next week I'm having my treatment, so I might not be much fun. But if you want to come and hang out, you can, I'll be home. And so she said, okay, that works. Here she is. What can I bring for you?
Hmm. Hmm.
And at first, I was gonna be like, "Oh, girl, don't worry about it. I'm good."
Hmm.
And something hit me. She asked you,
Right.
so
Yep.
I need you to think about it for a minute. What do you need from her? She
Hmm.
asked you.
Right.
If she wasn't willing to do it, then she wouldn't have asked, or she should not have asked.
Right.
So, and don't say, "Oh, what can I cash after you?" No, if she asked you what she can do for you, take it as you're getting up. This is pouring into you, Shiante. So
Right.
take this. So I said, I get the munchies when I have all this when I have all this stuff, in my system because I take steroids and Benadryl. It's like a whole thing. So I'm like, I get the munchies. She's like, I figured that. She said, I'll think about something to cook for you or
Mm-hmm.
bring you. And it's little bitty things like that you have to start to open yourself up to. You're gonna always be a giver if you don't know how to be a receiver.
And it so the Bible says, "Given it shall be given unto you." But how can it be given if you won't receive
If
it?
you won't receive it,
So then, there's blessings that you leave on the table when you do that, right? And then the other piece is a lot of people don't know when somebody asks them, "What do you need?" That's foreign, especially to a lot of Black people, right? So,
black women too.
huh?
Black women,
Black women, it's
especially. Oh yeah.
okay, right? Like, no, I got it. I've been doing it my whole life. Uh, okay, you want to continue to do it your whole life by yourself? Like, why do you want to do that?
Why is that normal?
And it is normal. It
It's
is
normal.
normal in our culture, especially like you say with Black women.
It's very normal, Tony. It's almost like you're ashamed if you have to ask for help. I listened to this podcast during 2020, and you might have listened to it too. It was a panel of Black women. My therapist sent it to me,
Was it
and
Black girls?
hmm,
Therapy for Black girls podcast?
I don't know. I gotta go back and look. It was a while, but it was women on there, and they were having a moment of vulnerability about why moms don't take naps.
Mm.
and why moms don't do getaway trips or things, and like the pressure that is put on a mom to always feel like they have to be able to do everything to make sure that, oh, if I'm not doing it, then now I'm looking weak.
Mm.
I think for me, that's what it truly is. It's a sign of weakness. Somewhere along the way, it was taught to me that is a sign of weakness to ask for help or to accept help.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's just been what's been modeled in front of us. That's
It,
what we have seen, right? I saw this model. Well, I can't say that because my mama had us do a lot of things. So I learned to put my superwoman cape on as a young child because
Me too.
at the work, I mean, not work, we had to, well, yeah, that too, had to go to school. And then we would have times when we had to cook. It was four of us at the time. So we all had times where we had to cook. We had to clean the house. Mind you, she didn't work, but this was our responsibility. So that was early ingrained, and then at 15, I think, me and my sister, so she was 17, we got a paper route. So it's like putting your superwoman cape on is something that was ingrained at a young age.
It was ingrained at a young age. And it's like, how do you, because I'm dealing with that with Kaden now, to where you don't want them to be entitled, thinking, because Kaden will leave stuff all on the floor because it's like, oh, she's the maid, she'll get it. And so it's, or she'll wait till Cheryl comes and she knows Cheryl gonna clean up her room. So she like, oh, and I'm like, no. And so, but anyways, I'm struggling with that, finding that fine line with her between not making her do too much, but just enough to where she's not feeling like, oh, I gotta be tough, I gotta be strong, I gotta be able to do all this stuff. I can't ask for help, And also, I was gonna say, you find it a weakness to ask for help, and you also find it a weakness when somebody has to ask you for help in our community. I see.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I go and ask somebody, what a word is because I don't understand, or how do I do this, then you got to worry about being ridiculed or laughed at because
Yep.
you don't.
Yep.
Or somebody acting like you're getting on their nerves, like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, all those things makes it very difficult to ask for help. But you know what all of it does? All of that holds you back.
Yeah. I think it's the whole vulnerability piece. Then we're not vulnerable people either because of that. We feel like we have to have it together, but most of us don't. I would say probably 98% don't.
I totally agree with you on that, because we feel, how can you be vulnerable if you feel like you have to do everything on your own? That means you're not reaching out. You're not saying that I need help. You're not accepting help. You're not giving help. Because if you're not accepting it, if you think it's a problem to accept help or ask for help, then you also think it's a problem that somebody is weak enough to ask you for help.
So that takes me to like the group that I have, right? Like I think um I don't know, like it's just people are afraid to really share them.
Share all. Let me tell you about your group.
Yeah, tell me, because that's why I quit before, right? I quit.
Don't quit.
Well, I'm not now, but I quit before because it's like it's the same people who interact, and then I really feel like I'm going to make it smaller just for those
Mhm.
who do. But then how can others learn? I don't know. I'm torn with that, right?
Leave it like it is.
Okay, because
Mhm.
I just watch and I watch how some people will comment on certain things only, and I have to let people be people, and I don't know how people learn. Everybody learns differently, right? But it's just the thing of, so the questions, I try and change up the questions each week because I want you to continue to think, right? Questions are going to probe you, and maybe they're thinking about it, but they just don't feel safe enough to share, which I don't know why. Because that's why I make sure I comment. I want them to know I'm human. Just because I'm a therapist, I don't know it all and I got issues, right? That I want you to see that it's okay to have issues.
You want me to tell you about your group?
Tell
It's
me.
like your book. Like, you hit people with some very challenging questions. I won't say no. Let me not say people. I'm gonna speak for me. I'll see.
Come
First
on,
of all,
speak for you.
I'm not on Facebook like that. I don't, so, and maybe I need to, like, I don't get notifications on my phone. I turn that feature off because I don't like strolling on Facebook all day long. And if I look on there and I see ding, 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 that's going to ping me to go to Facebook.
Hmm.
So first of all, I don't see notifications. So I don't even know that someone is live, or has posted something until I actually go into the app.
Gotcha.
So now if I don't know that, then if it doesn't come up on my news feed first, I don't even see it. It's not until I click on my notifications that at this point I probably got 30 or 50 because I haven't checked them.
Right.
And that's just over. That's me getting overwhelmed.
Hmm.
And so usually I don't even look at my notifications anymore because it's just so many of them. I don't. So I have to figure that piece out for myself. But what I'm saying is when I do see your post, a lot of times I'm like, oh, that's a great question, but I can't answer it right now because I got to think about it.
Hmm.
So then I go and I think about the question. Then I go, and this might be ADHD Shiante, because I believe all of us got some of that in us to some extent. So I'll go and I'll think about the question, and then the question will have me like ready to cry, and then I'll get on Candy Crush because I need to like calm my head down, and then I'll go like wash dishes, and then I'll go and like fold clothes, and then I'll go get kids, and I'll do all that, and then now it's 2, 3 days later, you're asking another question that is causing.
Oh, every day, every day, it's gonna be
I'm
a
like,
question.
wait, I didn't even answer the other one.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I think about the questions that you ask. When I see them, I think about them, but then I forget to come back
Hmm.
and write it in there.
Hmm.
I do forget. And so, or like like one of your posts was like, put a picture of your 2005. What day
I
did you say?
like 15 years ago or something, 10, 15 years ago, something like that.
I
Yeah.
was like, no, that depresses me because I don't want to look at how I look then.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. This is helpful. It's helpful because, you know, it can be frustrating, but I do know that's why I said I'm a professional questioner because I feel like that's how you learn, right? You learn about yourself. I learn about you. And so if they're doing even like you're doing, at least processing on your own, then that's a win.
Yeah. I'm definitely processing. Even I'm telling you, I don't think even in your book. I mean, like you probably could do it one question a day, but I can't personally.
Okay.
It's gonna take me longer than 3 months to do it
Oh,
because I'm just, and maybe some people are like quick to say, and I used to be like that. I used to have an answer for everything, like
mhm,
boom, boom, boom.
mhm.
But now I have found that it's an actual treat and reward when I give myself time to really think and process a question.
Mm,
Cause I almost have like a answer that's like a shoot off answer, but then I have like an answer underneath
exactly.
that is like, woo, I should have thought about that a little bit longer. Like I
So,
almost have an anxiety answer,
okay.
and then I actually have like a Chiante answer.
A pressured answer. If I was asked
Mm-hmm.
in front of a crowd, this is what I would say, because I have to come up with an answer. I get that. I get that. And
Mm-hmm.
so that makes me think of if I could do a second edition, right? I could do where I allow more than 90 days. I, because my first time writing it, right? That's insightful for me because maybe other people, that's why I'm asking for people who get the book to really give me some insight onto how
Mm-hmm.
this, because that will help.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Like I said, but because some of the questions are triggering, some of the questions are very thought provoking, I
Mhm.
can't answer them right away.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, but that's just me. That's
Mhm.
that's that's just how I read things and
Mhm.
how I look at things. That's why I said let me just speak for me and how I'm learning about myself. But this is the thing: I will go back and I will, like, if I know, oh, I need to have this done by the end of the week, I will go back and I'll say, okay, let me start here, answer this question. And then sometimes I'll be able to answer like 3 questions in a row.
Because you've taken that time to process. Yeah, it's helpful. Maybe I'll take the 90 days off of it. In 90 days, you'll have, because as you said, some people need more time to process. Just if you complete the book, then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I feel like this book might take me the whole year.
it could.
That's just me though. That's me. Some people might already be on chapter 15. I'm just saying, like, I it's that's just how people process things
Hmm.
differently. I'm not like that. I'm
Hmm.
not. It's gonna take me a while to get through it,
Yeah,
and on top of that, you're even when you are trying to dedicate that time to yourself. And one thing I will say, I need to get myself back on my schedule and my routine, because one thing that will also help you to process and complete things, even if you say I'm gonna have 30 minutes for social
that
media,
high time.
you gotta set the time aside.
Yep,
You have to say, this is my dedicated, no kidding time that
yep,
I'm going to do this. And if it takes you a while, give yourself an hour or two. Hey, I'm going to think about it for an hour and then I'm going to come back. And it needs to be uninterrupted,
yep.
undivided time, to where you're not doing this and that and over here and over there. No, like, you have to dedicate that time.
Right. I agree with that. And that's how I looked at it when I wrote it. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
if a person sat down an hour a day or 30 minutes a day, and now, like you're saying, if it takes you time to process it, right, and then you got to come back. So maybe time to read the question. Okay, I read the question. Now I'm going to take the day to process it. And by the end of the night, I'm going to answer the question. Yeah, then it's possible to complete it. Because yeah, like I say, I wrote the book, and when I went back and I posted a question myself, I was like, oh shoot, yeah, that's a difficult question. It's a thought provoking question. And that's because it was under the guise of the Holy Spirit, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
writing, and then I went back and I looked, I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna work on the workbook myself.
It's good. Like, when I tell you it's good, it is good. Like, and maybe in the beginning, you can even give some tips, some study tips.
So maybe I can do a study guide instead of a book with it. And the study guide can include some of the things of um how I got to this place of writing this book, right? So that they know some of me, but also know how to use the workbook. Because I
Uh-huh.
want to change the workbook. I had small k, small letter WORK, and I want to put big WORK, small BOOK, because you're going to do a lot of work in it. I now know that's why it's a workbook. Like, it's
Yeah.
really, if you sit down and do the work, you're going to see results.
I put that like at the top, and I gotta I asterished it, and I was like, need more commentary. Like, it is truly a workbook. You do need another kind of book or something where, like, you say, okay, this is chapter, what did I put? Chapter 1 is about like identity, right?
Mhm.
And so
Mm.
what I
I,
would so talk about, I give an introduction about identity and how you found your identity, and
yeah,
then give people the work.
yeah, gotcha. Right. So,
Hmm.
kind of study guide slash examples.
It could be a book. You can literally write a book, and you can have the chapters correlate with the chapters in the workbook,
Hmm.
and then you could just have like stories. It could be stories about patients, because you can use patients if you don't use their names.
Hmm.
And so you can do that, and then you could have all that background, and then you can say, now pause and finish week 1 of this thing in the workbook.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I got it.
So
Thank
I think it's perfect.
that we talked that through, because I still was stuck on that. I knew that it needs something else, but didn't know how to go about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just that little bit of, and what did I put? I put I need to hear you. I think is what I said. Something like that. I need to and make it personal.
Well, so that's what the other person, my woman tour, let me say that, my woman tour was saying, right? Like they need to know you. Otherwise, it's just a book and it's kind of disconnected.
And you could have it like that, but I feel like if you do it that way, then you need to offer some type of classes.
Hmm.
So if you offer the classes and they come in and they're hearing you talk about it, and then you say, okay, this is your homework. Next week, have all this done, and we'll come back together again. You could also do it that way.
Okay, so ultimately, I was going for the group sessions. So I'm going to do this book to coincide, or this, I don't want to say study guide because it's not a study
Mm-mm,
book. Yeah,
mm-mm.
it would have to be it's going to be a smaller book to go along with it, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
all the parts will be there for when it's time for the group work.
Right, because you can reference it in your group. Like, okay, we're gonna talk about this story today. We're talking about the topic is identity. We're gonna talk about this story today and go around the room and
Yeah.
ask questions and all that kind of stuff. And then they, okay, you got a week to do these questions,
Hmm.
and then we're gonna talk about a few in the beginning of next week. We'll talk about it, recap, and then we'll move into our next session. Now you could move 3 months that way.
It makes more sense. It's cohesive then. It's
Mm-hmm.
the whole program will already be written.
There you
All
go.
just showing up, right? The
Just
people
gotta show up.
up, yeah, with your stuff.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, friend.
Yeah, because
Gonna-
okay, I want to start the group coaching, but I just knew I couldn't start it yet.
That's the other piece.
Oh, why? Yeah.
That's the other piece. Write that part, and when you finish writing that part, now they got two components that they coming in. Now they ready. It's like going to school because that group class sessions are like going to class. They're
It's
going to
it's
school.
yeah,
Yeah,
hand.
yeah, yeah. And it's going to what I like about that is because, like I'm saying, me by myself, it'll take me a whole year to get through it. When you have a coach,
It's like
now you know
syllabus.
for a fact that you're going to get through it in 3 months if you stick with it.
Right. So I could have almost like a syllabus. So this is what this week is going to be, that week, that week. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's perfect to do it that way because people will feel. I told you I'm somebody that I'm 2 days in and I'm all about it, and then a week later I'm like, oh no. But when you do it that way, it motivates people, especially when they know they're in a group. They're like, oh, I can't wait to see such such, and you
Yeah.
could do it on I would you're not going to be able to do that in person. It's going to have to
No,
be
no, no. Mm-mm.
on this kind of platform.
Zoom or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you're going to have people from all over
Hmm. Hmm.
needing to be a part of it. So I think that's great that you do that.
Yeah. So I was leaning towards originally like March, but March, April, but I'm leaning towards getting this book done, and it'll probably be by the end of the year, which would be good because then I'll be on location and I'll be able to set up the way I need to set up.
You have your purpose and power seminars.
No,
Purpose and power something.
come on. Yeah. I mean, I'm down for a whole conference next December 2025, something like that. Yeah.
Yes, this is the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah, because it really can open up to big, to become big, right? Power and purpose, those in and of itself are just those words, dealing with those words and then taking the action in them. Yeah, I think it's gonna really grow.
You are you're on the verge of it right now. This is just the beginning. So like don't get tied up or caught up with what the numbers look like because you're still working it.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, and I don't know if it's the space where I'm at, where God has me at physically, and then the space mentally, but I'm so okay with the timing, just taking the time. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
before, I'd be like, oh, I'm not out there enough, or I got to do this, I got to do,
Mm-hmm.
it's like preparation phase. And
That's what I was just. Oh, you know what? I think I told you this before. I just keep seeing incubator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like you're in the like, and everything in the incubator is so delicate, it's so precious.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and it's all these things that you're doing to prepare the baby to go home, but the baby's not ready yet.
Yeah.
That's the phase that you're in.
And that's in more than one aspect, just the power and the purpose. But even with, I got a whole new line coming out as far as it's gonna be T Lux Designs.
You didn't tell me about that.
I know because I just been getting woke up in my dreams about, oh, I've been studying, remember the thrifting stuff, but it's gonna be more than just thrifting. It's gonna be personal styling. It's gonna be like closet revamps. It's gonna be a whole thing. It's gonna be interior design, me shopping for the person. So yeah. And I've just been getting woke up and the name has been developing these last couple nights.
I love it. I love that for you. I love, because that truly is a thing. I had a girl here that she had a home website. You ordered your stuff through her, or she would go and personally shop for you.
Yeah.
And she even had boxes with blazers in them and like things like that. So it's totally possible to be able to do that.
Uh,
And I know that you can do it
and it
with.
must be because he keep waking me up, and I was like, God, is this me? Like, I absolutely love, love, love fashion, design, interior design, all of that. And then I listened to Shantia, and I hadn't heard her in a long time. And baby, she said, yeah, and some of you might have even been getting woken up lately. And I was like, I knew, I was like, I heard this for a reason. I knew. I was like, ooh, wee. She said, yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen sooner than you even know. I was like, okay, yep, that's why. So right now I'm in prep mode. And this may be why I'm here. Cause maybe if I had my own house, I wouldn't be still enough to really take the time to allow him to download in me what he needs to download.
Because you will be so on some other stuff.
Yep, sure would.
You're in just this place right now to where he can really, really speak to you. Um, and sometimes we take those spots for granted because we still thinking, oh, I got to, what about this? And what about that? No, just be still. I'm
Yep,
hearing that for you. Be still right now.
yep.
Be still. Process everything that you have going on right now because it's only going to be for a moment.
And when I tell you that's how fast time is going, that's what it really is. Only for a moment because April is coming so fast. And I'm like, I mean, you know how many Florida plates I see every day? It's funny because I'm like, God, is that you? Like the time is speeding up in front of me, on the side of me. I'm like, Florida's a long way away. Why am I seeing all these plates? But I'm every single day, Florida plates,
All the way up there.
all the way up here. That's what I'm like, and it's well, it's not that cold, but it's cold compared to what they would be getting. So I'm like, what y'all
Yeah.
do here? That I just feel like that's God. That has been His way of speaking to me since the beginning of this thing, and I see more plates now than ever.
I want you to, I want you to do like a box with a brooch in it
Mm-mm.
and like a scarf maybe. Like I want you to do a $35 box, whatever that you could put in there. Because it doesn't have to be like name brand
Yeah,
stuff. It could
no,
just be really like nice things.
yeah.
I want you to do a box like that. And I could see the front of the box with your eyeglasses on it.
Mm.
Yeah, like I can totally see it. Like
Mm.
a black box, but like totally so chic and just so neat. And when you open the box, having like the nice paper and you peel it back and it has that brooch in it, or it might have like a designer, like some cute glasses in it, or just something that's so you, but so fitting for that person.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds good. Yeah, I definitely can add that. I mean, I'm all for it. Like I'm so excited about it.
You
Um,
should be.
yeah, I'm just prepping right now. And the prep stage is fun. Yesterday I went to the thrift store and got some stuff, so I'm like I see motion happening. You know, it's still a lot of that I have to get, but I'm willing to take my time. So I'm not rushing it, which normally I would be rushing it. Oh, I got to order. I got to get this. I got it. And nope, it's not the time yet. It's
And
due.
the thrift store is where you go.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you get and you can charge $35 per box for that kind of stuff because in the thrift store you getting it for cheap.
That lady said, well, let me tell you, these thrift stores ain't even cheap no more. That's the crazy thing. Like some of the stuff I was like, this can't be. Look, I was in there yesterday and I got to get off in like 2 minutes. I was
Oh,
in and they had a Michael Kors purse, baby, for 179.99. I said, wait.
in the thrift store,
I said,
you can
did
get
I?
that from TJ Maxx.
I said, did I see this right? He said 179.99.
That's TJ Maxx prices.
To me, I wouldn't have paid more than $40 for it.
Not in the thrift store.
Thrift store. I said, is this the thrift store? Like what? So yeah, it's not like it used to be, right? But when I got to the register, the lady was like, you got some really good things. I said, yeah, I know how to shop. It took me long enough to get it, but yeah, I found a little cute wrap. It's not a wrap. It's like a little vest, but something you haven't seen, right? Unfortunately, it's an extra small because otherwise I would have kept it for myself. But it is so cute. So, ooh, I can't wait to show this. Man, I just got some. She said, you got some really nice items.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So,
So
yeah, I'm excited. I'm
you
excited.
should be. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
And here we are, 2 hours later almost this time.
Well,
Because
pretty
remember we stopped it.
much. Yeah.
Started it.
Well, that just goes to show you because we don't get a chance during the week, to interact like we used to. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we just
Mm-hmm.
we just use this time as that time. And I still have more stuff to talk about, but that's okay.
Yes, always. That's what I'm saying. Like we just keep going and going because we always can.
Yes.
But it's a conversation and I always look forward to it. And I'm so glad that we make time for it.
Yes. Yeah. You
Mm-hmm.
have to because we're so far away, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that Lisa and Mandy hadn't met yet either in person. I didn't.
That's crazy. I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
Mm,
I think that's crazy that and then friendships are so genuine.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, friend. Well,
Okay.
until next week, and we'll see what day, works, but we'll get it in one day next week. It doesn't really matter what day.
That sounds good to me.
All right. I will talk to you soon. And y'all see, y'all got privy, y'all got a chance to get in on our good week. I love this conversation we had today. We went from all around the world, we
We
talked,
did.
but it was good talk.
It was amazing talk.
Yes. All right. Well, take care, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye bye.